be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen like we do. It would. Oh yeah, well things will change and leaves will fall and it will rain. Transformed before your eyes. No time for chasing lightning. Oh, you never know just how life is gonna go. You jump in your boat, row, row, row. Jump in your boat, row, row, row. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen like it do. Oh yeah, you gotta aim high and go for your pie in the sky. Go ahead, trust yourself, everything will right itself. Oh yes, life's a stream. Go ahead, follow the dream. Jump in your boat, row, row, row. Jump in your boat, row, row, row. Something's gonna happen, it could be good. 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 Yay! We all made it here today. We have Eliana of Element who's going to wow us. We have Koreen with Grow Permaculture who's going to wow us. And we have Lisa who's filling in to talk a little bit about health equity. And she will also wow us. It's a beautiful day here in Gulfport. I don't have to have my socks on. Everything's fabulous. Eliana, would you like to join me on the stage? How are you?
Great.
You look fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Look, I'm going to give you one of these little microphone-y things, and we're going to put it wherever, I don't know. We hope that works. And, you know, we hope it picks up that mic, you know, the guitar coming out of over there. This is, okay, that's the most exciting part of the show. We need the technical parts.
Awesome. I'm just gonna put this on.
Eliana,
Hey.
how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Did you start out playing electric guitar?
Actually, I started out with acoustic around 17. I got my first guitar, and I didn't really grow to really appreciate the tool it is for songwriting. I got into that within the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and the past 2 years I've been really getting into it, like strong and putting a lot of time and effort into it.
Into songwriting?
Yes.
Yes, and you find that the acoustic guitar works best for that?
Well, I like that, but I was gifted a electric guitar when I started to really want to learn the instrument well,
Yeah.
to perform with it. So,
Yeah.
and being that I am more of a power singer, you know, I tend to stay in the rock genre.
Yeah.
The way I, you know, kind of put my own spin on things. I'm a very powerful singer. I don't know. I just
Well,
like go
rock
crazy.
on,
I
sister.
go wild. You know.
All right.
So.
And have you always been like uninhibited, able to go wild?
I think the different varieties of music I studied growing up. I've been singing since I could talk, and I've studied Broadway music and show tunes, stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's
they really, they're whoa,
like a lot of energy,
Yeah,
a lot of performance. So I think it's always been kind of natural to me. And being in the music scene for the past 8 years, I've really been able to hone myself as a front woman, as opposed to being like in a group, you know, setting. So I've been really grateful for all the opportunities I've gotten thus far and continuing on.
Yay. And so when you perform out, do you generally perform like if you're playing rock and roll, like maybe in a more bar setting,
Yes.
and you want people dancing?
Yep.
And wow, that's so exciting.
It varies.
And do you have a permanent band, or are you?
Well, I am in a few bands right now, and I've recorded on other bands' recordings, albums, like full albums too. But right now, currently, I'm in The Real Clash, which is an original hip-hop band based out of St. Pete, Florida. We've been together.
Making me get in
Hip-hop redefined. That's our tagline.
Hip-hop. Wait, give
really
the name again.
TRC Official. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. We're formerly known as The Real Clash, but we decided to rebrand a few years ago, and we just haven't been having a great time. You know, for the past, I think it's been 8 years. We formed out of the Mira program at SPC.
The Mira program has helped
so
many people.
I'm sure you've
Do you know what Mira stands for?
Music Industry Recording Arts.
There you go.
I was part of the program for a few years, so that's where I met my bandmates, and we've actually kept it, even though we've evolved and we've, gotten new members over time. Everyone is from the program, so we like to keep it in there because they gave us the platform. It's kind of like how we pay homage to them and what they did for us. They literally gave us a classroom and a professor, Alejandro Arenas, to guide us, and we wrote original music for 2 semesters, so it was a lot of fun.
Do you have an original song that you could perform for us?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit the stage.
Okay.
So I'm going to give this other microphone to you, too. You get both. And we hope that
I don't go too wild.
Well, we could put this one. You know what? I could put this one right here so it can pick up the guitar a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
Okay. And we have the helicopters. We got the bears in the air. You hear them helicopters? Oh, we didn't know we were going to have that kind of show.
Yes.
That's what happens when you get into rock and roll.
That's right. All right. So this song I wrote with a few classmates at SPC, and this is called Control Freak. Your eyes are like a portal to your soul. I tried to tear mine away from yours. Oh, whoa, yeah. But it's out of my control. 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 Loosen your grip on reality. Oh, yeah. And then you too will see. Oh, yeah. Let the high take its toll. Realize it's out of your control. 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 Ooh, ooh, oh, yeah. Ooh, oh, yeah. Ooh, oh, yeah. Now you're in control. 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 Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you're in control.
Wow. I like that word, control.
Yeah.
So people think of it, it's interesting because it's like, don't be so controlling.
Yeah.
Or get control of yourself.
Control your emotions.
Yeah.
I think I wrote that song actually as a reminder to myself to let go of control and just go with the flow and, not hold on to anything that's not going to keep me moving forward. So.
It's kind of interesting because it's like you've got to let go of control of absolutely everything except your own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and those you have to keep up.
Oh, yeah.
The reins firm in your grip.
Absolutely.
Nice. I love your bright colors.
Thank you.
I think it's. Do you dress up special for shows
Yes.
too?
I like to reflect my
Awesomeness.
inner being, like bright and fun and
Me
crazy
too.
and wild. I
Yeah.
know. I noticed that about you
I
right
know.
away.
It's interesting. Yeah. When you get up and you perform, does everybody in your band like dress? Or?
They usually, my hip hop band, they're always like, it's
Got,
like
like,
I'm the
hip-hop.
only girl in the band, so it's like I'm usually the person that coordinates the colors. At least,
Yes,
they know
right,
they're
but,
like.
But they'll get
they're-
with you. They'll get with the program.
They'll
and they
be
wanna
like,
look good
"Yo,
too.
Vox," because that's my stage name with TRC. They're like, "Vox, what are we doing?" And according to the type of event, we performed all kinds of things, and sometimes we'll class it up. Sometimes we're just rocking out, So we get crazy.
That is so nice.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like being a woman in the music industry is going these days?
I think it's very empowering for other women. For the most part, I get really good feedback when it comes to that. Just being able to do something that women don't usually do, like front a band. It's not very. You see a lot of bands out there, and they're mostly male. And I think nowadays it's becoming more common. I see it all the time, like female drummers and female bass players and guitarists and singers that are just rocking out and doing the thing and not holding back because of the way things have been set up in the past.
I think that the PA gear is getting lighter and easier, and I think that empowers.
Well, I definitely get a workout. I have a 38-pound speaker that I lug around for myself, and yes. Good.
Yeah, until you feel confident plugging in all your cables.
Oh yeah. Well, I went to school for recording arts, and they teach you how to. I can probably mic a drum kit if I really wanted to, but so yeah, I know how to set up a studio, and yeah.
And do you feel like? Do you think that people take one look at you and go, "She don't know nothing," or do you think people?
I mean, I don't know, and I don't really
either.
care.
We don't
but
care. Yeah,
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
We don't care.
Yeah,
what they think.
whatever.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. I just wondered, because I find it, the woman. We always look fabulous.
Yes.
And there's more and more of us out there doing the thing, which I think is great.
Yes.
What other interests do you have in life?
I really, since we're here, I really see a lot of disconnection in the world today. And this is the opposite example because this is bringing people together here, through technology. And usually, nowadays you see people and they're kind of consumed with technology. And although it is a good way to connect people and with things like this, I feel like we need more of that. And music is a good way is a great tool to do that for people and have us come together and forget our differences and just have fun and love life
Dance.
together. Exactly. We're here to have fun, and it's hard the way society is structured to always have the opportunity to do that. But through festivals, music festivals, and events like this, we can all come together and just love each other.
Oh, we're dreamers.
Right? We're dreamers.
We love each
so,
other.
I figured this was the appropriate venue for this.
Yeah.
But I can't always talk about that at my, my local bar gigs. So,
You don't think that people at the bar want to hear you talk about peace, love, and understanding?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't
they
either.
could.
I don't know. They could. They might be
I've done it
guilty.
before, but they're not there to
No,
hear
they're
that.
good.
They're there to,
Dance.
eat food and whatever, do what they're there to do, So you have to kind of, as a musician and entertainer, you have to provide the vibe, and forget all that stuff and just focus on making sure everybody's having a good time and not creating any discord, because people have opinions and some people.
Do you find your life mostly smooth? Personally, your inner.
I have a lot to work on personally, and I think everybody does. But every day I am trying to better myself, whether it comes to music or my emotional well-being and being able to handle a lot of the responsibilities that I have. As an adult, it's like there's a lot that's thrown at us constantly. So.
You're adulting.
I know, I'm adulting.
All right, well, Eliana, thank you.
Yeah.
I love your pink guitar strap, by
Thank
the
you,
way.
me too. I had to get it.
We're going to get you back up here.
Awesome.
I know, what was your old guitar strap before you got the pink one?
Well, the one before was like crazy pink and purple and like all these crazy colors.
And did it get sad when it got...
Oh, no, it's still like I use it with my in-home guitar, so it's happy.
I know, it's like updating. Koreen, can you join me on the stage? Yay, Koreen! Yay, thank you. Welcome aboard,
Happy to be
I'm
here.
going to do this little bit here. Matches your outfit.
Oh, great.
See, I know. My
Color
people were
coordinate.
talking to your people before the show, and they said that you ladies would be wearing black, so I got these black microphones out. That's not true.
We're all doing it.
Fake news. But you will notice that all three of the guests today have black T-shirts on. And I consider that just another Laura Shepard show's synchronicity. Okay, so here we are at the Laura Shepard Show. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/the Laura Shepard Show and become a show supporter. Koreen, how do we grow permaculture?
I got to say one thing before we get
Yes.
into that. It was so much fun hearing you because I was a musician when I was younger. I played bass and I was the only girl in different kinds of R&B and Latin bands, and so I so related to what you were saying. But it's really refreshing to see such a together young woman doing music. So I just wanted to say that.
Yay for together young women. And you say you were a musician. I presume you're still a musician.
I am.
Okay.
You never stop.
There you go. Own it.
I was professional for a few years, and then I decided I got into social justice and other kinds of issues, and I really felt the pull toward that, and that's where my life has taken me. But
Yeah. And are you good with paperwork, like filling out the forms
No.
and filing the thing? That's not you.
no,
That's not the side of
no,
it.
I'm in the creative industry still. A designer, permaculture designer, is a very creative.
Yes.
And gardening is very creative. And
Yes. Okay, wait, let's get this straight. You are a permaculturist.
Designer.
You are a permaculture designer. Can you give me a very brief description of permaculture?
Yes. It's a ecological design method that it focuses on regenerating the earth and healing people at the same time, and so we're a holistic design process.
Sounds a bit airy-fairy to me.
Well, it's pretty practical. It's very down to earth. 'Cause-
Actually, it is very practical,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, because we have to worry about where is the water going to go, what's going to flood, how much water is there, which plants grow, in which places, and all that kind of stuff. And is someone actually going to take care of this garden? Let's not design a garden that someone can't possibly take care of or isn't interested in taking care of. So that, all those elements, it really comes down to paying attention and observing and on a really practical basis.
Now, are you a regimented, righteous permaculturist people, or are you willing to work with people and just do a little bit of?
Anything is better than nothing.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
A banana tree in your backyard, yes.
And did you grow up growing food?
Yeah, but it was pretty easy. Where I grew up in Iowa, and the topsoil is like this thick.
Yeah.
You just throw seeds in the ground.
And did you all do canning and?
No. we grew up in my mom worked, and she made TV dinners.
I know, they were the rage. When TV dinners came out, it was that and the polyester clothing, because it freed up women many, many women hours.
Mm-hmm. Yes, amen. And that's what she worked 8-10 hour days sometimes. She was a school teacher.
And then had to come home and do
And
all that
clean.
stuff. And let me tell you,
Clean.
permanent press, baby. We love it. Throw it in the dryer.
So that's part of holistic design, is how can we design our lives so that we don't have to do all that drudge work when we come home, but we're not using poison plastics to handle everything, including in our food. So that's
Right, so it's sort of like sustainable, working with nature. You drew this little flower. These are the, spirit, economics, community, nature, built things,
Yeah, like houses and
Uh-huh.
infrastructure.
tech, culture, education, and health. All of those things have to be attended to before you start on a project if you're thinking from a permaculture plane.
Yes, and it's all about relationships. It's all about how do things connect? How does your built environment connect with your garden? And and the whole thing is, let's increase yield, reduce waste, reduce pollution, and work with nature to achieve that, instead of fighting nature every step of the way, which so many people do when they have green lawns. I mean, green lawns are so artificial in Florida. It's almost,
Yeah, it's very difficult in Florida, yeah. If you have it growing, it's a nightmare,
yeah.
because then you're mowing it, and,
Yeah, you don't have it. I didn't see any lawn here. It's great.
there's no lawn. And, I did have a little creeping invasive, but I had a lovely woman from the Florida Invasive Species Protector people here, and we went through the yard, and I passed. I had to, clean up one little section. Where is your property located?
It's actually about an hour north of here. It's near Brooksville. We have a 10-acre farm.
A 10-acre farm, and what happens there?
We do a lot of different things. We want to make it a demonstration site for what can be accomplished with permaculture. So we have forests and different microclimates on the farm that can show you what different kinds of things you can grow. And we have an edible landscape demonstration, and we have an orchard that is permaculture style, so it has not just one tree growing in it, but a bunch of different things growing in it, more like a forest.
Right, and understory things to feed the bees when the flowers aren't blooming.
Yeah.
And is it like a family living there, or are you like in a group, or
It's
a little both?
it's a group. We're trying to create community
Right.
up there, and it's
Okay.
this very small group, and it changes sometimes, and it's in the process of being built.
Uh-huh. And so you guys are consuming the produce that you,
Yeah. Definitely.
and do you have livestock?
We have chickens.
Chickens, because I think that the permaculture model includes animal husbandry, wifery.
Yeah. Animals are really useful. Right now, our chickens are making a new garden bed for us. We just penned them into this area, and they're scratching it, cleaning up all the weeds out of there, and pooping and creating this wonderful, fertile garden bed that we're not having to work for. They're doing all the work.
Yay!
So, yeah.
And when your chickens stop laying, what do you do with them then? I'm asking for a friend.
Well, we have enough space to leave them there. They're very useful because they do all that scratching. They eat a lot of the pests. We can put them in our garden, and they clear out the pests every year before we replant our garden. And they're just super useful. So we'll probably keep them around. We're not so much into the butchering of animals in our place.
Are you vegetarians? Because permaculture is not necessarily a vegetarian practice.
Now, a lot of permaculturists work with animals, with cows, and very much so. And they bring a lot to ecosystems. They're great healers of ecosystems if you use them right, if you integrate them into the system right. But a
You
lot
keep
of them
talking about healing the system. What are we talking about?
well, it's pretty degraded. We've done a lot of damage to it.
It being the soil?
The soil, everything. The water, water supply, the soil, the plant life. When we develop without being in tune with nature and without listening to nature and observing nature, we end up harming a lot of things that we don't need to harm if we were paying more attention.
And so do you feel you've reversed some of that harm on your 10-acre farm?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent.
Definitely. We're encouraging wildflowers. We're working with the existing trees. There's a lot of tree cover there, so we're planting under it. And we're using fruit trees that can grow in part shade instead of cutting down these beautiful old trees.
Yeah.
And they bring a lot of healing to our fruit trees, actually. And a lot of, if you've ever seen a wild citrus grove in the middle of a forest, they're healthy. They don't get greening as fast. I've seen 30-year-old citrus groves that are not touched by greening in an oak forest. So we plant under oaks. We plant all our citrus under oaks because there's a symbiotic relationship. And they grow great in shade. They will fruit like crazy.
And do you do a lot of pruning?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. It depends.
Yeah, because that sometimes will encourage fruiting. But I know there's whole schools of thought where you don't prune trees.
Yeah. And every permaculturist has their own relationship and their own approach to nature, and that some permaculturists are very vegan, and they have these beautiful vegan systems that don't use animals at all. And, we cover the gamut. That's one thing I really want to emphasize about permaculture is that there's virtually any kind of person involved in permaculture, and they all have one thing in common is that they're willing to work with nature instead of just clearing
Sounds
the
a little
decks.
airy-fairy to me. Because we were talking about this last, I'm teasing really, but we were talking about this like work with nature, how, so one can take a class and get a certification in permaculture?
Yeah, I'm an educator. I teach the professional level permaculture design course, which is really a paradigm shift of the way you look at the world. And by the way, working with nature is, again, super practical because nature is very energetic. It does a lot of work. And if you notice the work that it's doing and work with that, then you have to work less. So why wouldn't you want to do that?
Well, how do you think we got so off?
By not paying attention, I think, and maybe some arrogance of thinking that we know better than nature. But that's a good question. I don't have the answer to that.
I always wonder, because they talk about how perfect it all was, in the tribes or whatever. I wasn't there, and I'm like, well, how'd we get this far over here in left field? I don't know, baseball. But you feel like that as an individual in a suburb, could one affect the land and the spirit of the world and have a permaculture-based yard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're doing it. You have a lot of food in your yard, and you're probably not spending hours and hours every week out here, right?
Pretty much grows.
Because you're working with nature. You're letting the food do its thing, and maybe tweaking a little bit, and that's all you really need to do. And if you understand what plants grow where, you're not trying to grow apple trees here or some kind of northern berry, then it's in a lot of ways it's really simple and it's really common sense, but somehow we do get trained out of that.
Yeah. And how do we deal with the messy? It's messy looking. How do you deal with that for people? I don't want it messy. I want this permaculture yard, and I want a whole I don't want it messy.
Want all the bushes trimmed perfectly, and yeah, well, Bill Mollison, the founder of permaculture, said about order. His definition of order is a system that produces more than it consumes. Mm-hmm. So you look at a grass yard, and it's all kinds of stuff in there, and you got to go out and mow it, and you got to put all kinds of labor. And it's definitely consuming more than it produces.
Well, unless we count, the field of play for our children and the vista from our TV chair.
Some people, we have a little bit of lawn for kids. But there's more than grass in there. There's some edibles in our lawn, you know,
Yeah.
and herbal medicine.
Yeah.
So, you know, we get multiple benefits from the work we do to mow it. We'll harvest some stuff while we're mowing.
Yeah, I always like to pick up the grass clippings and then you throw them in your compost and it goes good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I like composting. I like compost. I had a boyfriend who brought me a book on composting for Valentine's Day one time.
That's a good boyfriend.
He said he didn't want to bring me flowers because they would just wilt, but if he brought me this book, I could grow my own flowers. Charming man. Do you have a CD player?
Yes.
I'm going to give you a Laura Shepherd CD.
Oh my gosh.
And
I love
this
your
is a
music.
Laura Shepherd. Oh, thank you for saying so. And this,
Oh, that is so cool.
and this is for you to keep or pass on to somebody else. This is a little loquat tree. It's a baby of that loquat. They're very yummy loquats. So I would like to
Oh.
give you this gift.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That
Here's
is
my gift.
beautiful. Thank you.
Can you give us like one more? Give us like some sort of, for the world out there, some 3 tips to make the world a better place.
Work with nature and it will heal you. It will help you heal.
That sounds
And-
good.
yeah,
What else?
And I have some gifts too.
Oh, you have gifts?
Yes.
Oh.
I brought some herbs from our farm.
Oh. Eliana, come back up here. Come have some herbs. Here, we're going to get you right here in the middle, Eliana.
Good. Oh, here, I'm
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
So I have lemongrass tea over
Okay.
here.
Let me grab that.
And,
I'm going to let you hold this.
Okay, good. And this is really good for clearing out bacteria in your mouth. It's just a wonderful tasting tea. The smell is calming. It's said to reduce anxiety. It just fills your house with wonderful smells when you're making it.
Do you all want to smell it?
We had at Thanksgiving we put some honey bourbon in it. It was just great, really tasty.
Oh man, I bet.
It mixes really well with a lot of things. It has good health benefits. It reduces inflammation, and this is Spanish needle tincture.
Ooh, that's the plant that's around here. There's one right there. It's that little
Yes.
daisy-looking fella.
It's
and the
a
bees love
weed
it.
that grows everywhere,
Huh.
and it's super medicinal. It's super helpful not only for the environment, it's healing for the natural environment. And that's why it shows up. But it's also got great medicinal value for people. It's a blood tonic. It's a respiratory tonic.
And
You
is
know?
this tincture is made in alcohol or
Yes,
in?
it's in alcohol.
And do you put it in water,
Um,
or do you put it directly under your tongue usually?
you can put it under your tongue.
And how much do you put in? Can I take some? Try
Oh
some?
yeah,
Ah.
half a dropper full, or sometimes I use a whole dropper.
Okay, give me half a dropper full of
Okay.
Spanish needle. I need my blood cleansed. Okay, and those are our gifts for you because
From me.
why not?
Thank you.
Don't you think? Isn't that what that's for?
Sounds
We
like I
like-
could use it as a vocalist. You know, I perform sometimes 5 times a week. So
All right, because we're all about
Yeah,
giving
lemongrass
things
is
away.
very soothing,
And I'm going to give you a copy of my CD if you would like
I'm
that.
gonna jam out to this on
that
the way
is
home.
really wonderful.
for sure.
Right. Okay, because I like this whole giving thing. All right, so thank you, ladies.
Yes.
And you'll give me this microphone, and you're not done. You're gonna you can come. Go ahead, and you're gonna come back into the
Okay.
show.
Awesome.
But I just wanted, I wanted you to get a gift.
Thank you.
Live. You know they're always doing this thing on YouTube or whatever or online. You know where people get their pregnancy test and they film themselves telling their boyfriend they don't know and all these surprises. So that's why we're doing it to you. It's kind of like reality TV. Here, sit here while we give you a gift. I'm going to sing a song. It was just Thanksgiving, and this is a song I wrote with a friend of mine. It's called The Family Dinner. It's early in the visiting, and was talking, I was listening, and dinner was cooking, like it ought to be. We done stuff the stuffing, we was looked out the window to an impending tragedy. As Fred was wrenching and cussing, accomplishing a bunch of nothing, had his head deep inside that broken Chevrolet. And Jimmy snuck into the yard, and he snuck right up to that car, and he stuck his arm in the window. He was a grinning impishly. And then he blew the horn, and Fred bumped his head, and then his face turned red, and he's yelling, "Jimmy, you're gonna be dead, 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 deader than the day that you were born." Well, Jimmy thought he had escaped, and he went running towards the backyard gate, not expecting the collision that was fated to ensue. And he'd heard Freddie scream, and she thought she'd better intervene, but her apron tie got caught on the stove as she passed. And I saw Annie start to fall. She grabbed for Jimmy's coverall. The apron tie was stretched, well, like a banjo string. When that apron tie let loose, well, she went flying like a Canada goose. And like a football highlight reel, they both went tumbling down. And then we burnt the corn. Annie's face turned red, and she's yelling, "Jimmy, you're gonna be dead, 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 deader than the day you was ever born." Oh yeah, here we are. It's a cliffhanger. We got people down, we got flames. The flames was a licking and a kissing the curtains in the kitchen. So Freddie pulled his cape out to Superman the scene. Oh, but the kitchen was smoky and black from Superman's attack. So we gathered all together around an ancient barbecue. And a disaster in the making was averted by a pound of bacon eaten on the hood of that broken Chevrolet. Oh, so you bumped your head, and then you burnt the corn. Oh, Lord, now your apron's torn. But Jimmy still ain't dead, and we got bacon and bread, and you know you gotta get fed, 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 fed. Just as fed as the day that you were born. I hope everybody ate well this past weekend. I had this amazing Thanksgiving feast, and then I got to sleep 2 nights on a lawn chair by a fire. And I was drifting off in the middle of the night, and some campers walked by, and they said, "We're going to get more turkey." I said, "Oh, Lord, I want more turkey." But there I was laid out by the fire, and I didn't really want to get up. But, Lord, if they didn't bring me a plate of turkey. It was, you know, it's the little things in life, a plate of turkey. Lisa, would you like to join us? And do we have Daniel, too?
Which side?
Either. You come up either side. We have got Lisa, who is filling in here to talk about some things. And we have Daniel. Would you like to sit in the middle, Daniel? No. No, he says. He does not want to sit in the middle. Well, I'm going to put this up here so that there's a microphone here above your head now. Hi. You didn't want to sit in. Would you like to sit over on this side? Would you like to sit where you're sitting now? Yes. Okay. Would you like something to eat or drink? Are you hungry? Okay. Lisa. Yes, for coming. Oh. Now, health equity. Well, now, what is equal about health? Some of us are stronger. What do you mean, health equity?
Well, the difference between equity and equality is pretty
huge.
What is the difference between equity and equality?
Well, the big buzzword for a long time was equality. Everyone wants equality, but that only works if everyone starts at the same level.
Right.
So a lot of people give the example of taxes. Everyone should pay 30% tax, right?
No.
Well, if you make $10,000 a year and you
Oh.
pay $3,000 of that in taxes, how are you going to survive?
Right.
A person making $100,000, they could easily pay $30,000, still be left with $70,000. So that's
Right.
equity. It's not equitable to tax everybody the same, because obviously someone making $10,000 a year couldn't afford 30% tax, where somebody making $100,000 could.
Could.
So it's giving everyone equal opportunity is what equity is.
So that we end up equal.
Well,
We end up equitable.
Right,
I-
because
okay,
some
I'm in.
people can be millionaires and people can be low income, as long as everyone has what they need to survive and thrive, which is, sustenance and covering, and, a lot of people don't have that now. But
Right.
also equal access to health care, equal access to education. So those are all things that contribute to equitable living. Like, we want our society all to be healthy and educated, so we want to make sure that we break down any barriers that would be keeping people from access to health care, access to education, so they
Okay.
can live the life that they want to live.
And so what are some of the main issues in health equity other than money?
Right.
Like how much money you have? We'll start there.
Right.
And then?
Well, actually, I'm standing in for Courtney, which I work
Yes.
with her through 3 Gems Birth Services. So what we are trying to address is the Black maternal health crisis, and as well the infant crisis. So a lot of people are starting to hear the buzz about Black women die 3 times as often as white
Wait.
women.
Black women die 3 times as often as white women
During childbirth.
during childbirth.
And same goes with Black infants. It has nothing to do. They did the study. They said, oh, maybe it's income related. They took out income. They actually said no matter what the income, you took a white woman at a certain income, you took a Black woman at a certain income, it was always 3 times more likely. So there's studies about it, because
And so
this
what
is a crisis.
What do we attribute that to?
Well, we know that there is systemic racism still.
Systemic racism. Do you know what that is?
So that's why, actually, at the Foundation for Health St. Pete, it is one of their keystone projects that they're working on, and they're trying to actually, we know in our hearts, we know what probably some of the issues are, but we need data. So they actually want to do a lot of research and figure out why it's happening, and then what is going to be the best way to address it. So one of the things they know works is doulas. So
Doulas.
Yes, doula.
Can
is
you
a-
define a doula
Yes,
for us?
a doula is a woman's helper during pregnancy and immediately afterwards. So
And what do you have to do to be a doula?
actually, traditionally, just a woman that is caring. They've proven, and this is back 20-something years ago when I went to massage school, is that just having a woman in the room, it decreased the chance of cesarean, decreased the chance of any type of complication. So without any training, it already makes it better. So, but there is
Just get a
actual-
woman in there, things are going to go a little better.
Right. So
Yeah.
what we actually do as trained doulas is we are an advocate as well. So we go over the woman in advance, making birth plans. We get them ready. We decide what their birth experience, what they would like to include. Do they want to have a home birth? Do they want to have a birth center birth? Do they want to have a hospital birth? Do they want to see a midwife? So everyone has different desires and what they consider is best for their own body. So we want to advocate for them and also educate them on the opportunities. A lot of women don't even know that it's perfectly safe to have a home birth. Unless you have a complication, you can have a baby at home. They did it for thousands of years.
Right, but
So-
we don't think that, do we?
Right.
We're like, oh, God, have a baby at home.
Right. So there's a lot of options out there, just making them aware of. And of course, I'm a huge believer in breastfeeding and extended breastfeeding as long as possible. That's when the first 3 years of a child's life is when their immune system is set for the rest of their life. So we know that by breastfeeding, we can decrease things like cancer for the mom and the baby, diabetes, all sorts of different health issues that are rampant right now in the African American population. And we also know that African American women are less likely to breastfeed.
It is interesting, and I don't know, but right, why is it that Black women are less likely to breastfeed? Do we know why? I have an idea.
Right. There's a lot of studies being done. Again, it's like we can only right now we can say what we've found. We know that there is some, again, systemic racism involved. But within the African American community, a lot of women still see the racial ties back from slavery when black children were taken away from their mothers and they were forced to nurse white children.
Right.
So as wet nurses. So that kind of passes down generationally. So we want to make sure that there's a lot of beautiful black women out there. And Courtney is an amazing leader in this, and doing photo shoots of showing black women breastfeeding is so powerful. Seeing people that look like you breastfeeding, and they've proven that breastfeeding is not a naturally occurring event. It's a learned event. So if you never see it, you don't know how to do it. So we, in our society,
but the baby knows how to do
the
it.
baby knows how to do it. The baby
Okay.
wants to nurse,
Yeah.
but the mother doesn't know how. So this was actually there's a very famous a gorilla that she had been raised. She was born and raised in captivity, and then when she had a baby, she didn't know what to do, and so they brought in La Leche. The first baby died, and then they brought in La Leche leak while she was pregnant with the second one, and had women breastfeeding their babies. And she came over and watched. As soon as that baby was born, she put the baby to her breast. So
Wow.
we know that by that, we know it's learned, but also just in human, I mean, I know that I never saw women nursing in America. My dad's Dominican. It was just totally normal there. But here I had to learn how to do it. La Leche leak was amazing.
Right. Who has seen a nursing woman recently out nursing? Couple? If, yeah.
She's
All,
my
but I mean, I know.
daughter.
We have other than this, you know. That it is true that we don't see it so much, and we're still a bit ashamed of it. It's all right to put those boobies out there to sell cars.
And other things.
And other things.
And there's been social experiments online that have been very popular with a woman very scantily clad, and people are totally fine, but a woman breastfeeding very modestly.
Right, covered up so that you hardly can see
Right?
what they're doing.
And people will shame her and say,
Yes.
why are you doing that here? And it'll be, it's just, not that it matters. Like I said, it's not like I'm still nursing him. I mean, he only nurses a couple times a day, but it's not even a bigger child. It's an infant. So people will go up to her and shame her. So
Right.
I must say that St. Pete has been amazing about supporting me, and people will come up and say, good job. You know, so those little kind of things that we can do as a society to really encourage women to breastfeed is actually pretty powerful, and actually nursing in public. Like, I'm not the most out there person. People know me. I'm not like, I don't dress really, provocative or anything, but I purposely nurse in public because I know that it's a learned behavior now.
I think you need to come to this. There's a little room here next to the toilet for your nursing
Yes.
pleasure.
I have been told by people at, I won't say different organizations, but I've been at public places, nursing covered, and people said, oh, I think you'll be more comfortable in the nursing room on the 4th floor. And I'm like,
I'm
very
In the restroom. Go
Yeah, in the
nurse
restroom.
Yeah,
Right.
go
So,
nurse
yeah.
in the toilet.
Yeah, that's the worst one is the toilet, because that's like the most common. The average person will come up to you and say, why don't you go to the bathroom and do that? And but usually staff is now directed to go and say, go to the nursing room, which usually is in a very inconvenient closet somewhere. It's not really a room. It's really a janitor closet.
Okay, so what happens if you just feel like it's gross? That, like, how can we help people? I'm sure there's some people watching or that will see this that are just like, I'm sorry, that's gross.
It's a societal norm. I mean, that's what it's been really portrayed. I mean, if you think about, if you at all are anti-commercialism, you should really push back against breastfeeding being gross, because it was a big marketing scheme that breastfeeding, that bottle feeding was better.
And when was that? When did that
That was
happen?
like about the 50s. It was like, it's a lot of women's lib things happened at the same time to actually hurt women. So a lot of things like, go back to work as soon as you can. Here's bottles. We don't need your breast anymore. So that was like a pro and a con, where it's like, yeah, it's great that women can go back to work, but making it seem like that formula was better than breast milk is absolutely not true.
Doesn't have the same.
Yeah, it's almost time.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate your getting up here and,
Yeah. Okay, thank
breastfeed
you.
in public. And if you see somebody doing it, tell them they're doing a good job, I guess. Unless it offends you horribly, in which case close your eyes, look the
And,
other direction.
also for health equity, for
Yes,
health
health
equity,
equity.
really quick, on Wednesday at Kenwood Organics, there is, we're having a big community meeting for nonprofit workers. So we're trying to make a food hub in St. Petersburg. So putting all the people together in the same room and trying to address the food scarcity in especially South St. Pete. So if anyone wants to come to that, you can go to Kenwood Organics page, but it's 5:30, I believe, and they're on 5th Avenue North. So Kenwood Organics Produce in St. Pete.
Perfect. Thank you. It is interesting, you know. There used to be a time when it was horribly shocking to see a woman's ankle. And I am one of those people. I'm a shocker. Eliana's a rocker. I'm a shocker. Eliana, come back to here.
Go barefoot on stage if I can. Why not?
You shock them.
Show those ankles.
Oh my goodness. Okay, tell me a little bit about your songwriting process.
Well, usually, the last song that, the first song I performed, first song, Control Freak, that was more of a, it was like a collaborative effort, and I got the music before, you know, I was there while they were creating the jam, and then I wrote to it. A lot of the times, I have different techniques depending on how things are set up. So that was an instance that I wrote to something. But a lot of the times I hear something and without, you know, I'm just going about my day, and I'll hear a line or
I
something.
know, that's what happens
you know,
to me a lot,
right?
yeah.
And so you get different kinds of inspirations throughout the day, the week, the year, whatever. And for me, this next song that I'm going to perform, this song was written over the course of a year, actually, because I started it, I heard the instrumentation in my head, I got the first verse, and the second verse. The verses came really easy, but I could not find a hook. It took me like a year, I swear, to find something that actually worked, and I went through 3 different changes. So I revised this. I was like, it works, but like it's not going the way
Mm-hmm.
it's not the message, it's not the vibe, it doesn't match. Even though it did, but it wasn't the right fit. It wasn't the one.
Wasn't good enough.
It wasn't the one. So, sometimes you have to be patient. There are times where I can just sit down and, I have a topic in mind that I want to talk about, and I can come up with something pretty easily. I was always into creative writing growing up and, writing poems and things like that. But I never really had the confidence to really put it out there until, I've been rocking on stages for like 8 years. So I'm like, I guess I can just whatever,
this.
right?
Yeah.
What's to lose at this point? I'm already putting myself out there. So, so I gave it a shot, and now I started performing out, accompanying myself with guitar about 1.5 years ago.
Like just by yourself as a single act?
Yes, as a
And you
solo.
play the electric?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been doing that, and I've been giving myself the opportunity to put these songs out there, and they're pretty well received. I see people like grooving, so I'm like, okay, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I don't know,
And
who's
do you
to
play
say
with a
the-
looper and stuff? Or?
No,
Yeah.
but I am actually working up a set that I'm going to be incorporating more of the looping style, so just so I can have a little bit more rhythm and
Yeah.
drive behind me.
Yeah,
'Cause,
like it fills up some space.
Yeah, it's nice to have some layers going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put this back in. I'm gonna let you play the song. What's it called?
It's called Real Feels.
Real Feels.
That's right.
I'm gonna feel this one out. Okay,
Oh,
off you
yeah.
go.
Get adjusted here.
All right.
I'm like,
What's happening? Are you dead? Have we
no,
lost?
my strap was a little bit crooked. So
Oh, we can't have crooked
was making it
straps.
tight.
Tighten up, sister.
Tighten up.
Tighten up.
So yeah, this next song, it's about, the first stages of, becoming interested and falling in love. Ooh, yeah. doing to me? You got me feeling like I can't breathe. You came right out of the field, and I don't know how to deal. You give me the real feels. You give me the real feels. You give me the real feels. Yeah. You give me the real feels. Tell me this isn't a dream, 'cause your love is making me say, yeah. Baby, you got me tripping, falling head over heels while my heart beats skipping like an old school tape deck. I'm a train wreck, stumbling all over my words like mainstream rap. I think that together you and I should be. All we need is a guitar and some weed. Come on, baby, baby, give me company. Truly believe that you could be the one for me. The real feels. You give me the real feels. You give me the real feels. Yeah. You give me the real feels. Yeah. Before I saw your face, I was just another rat in the race, caged by my insecurities. Now I'm learning what it's like to be free. Thought I had it all figured out, up until you came around. I'll admit you must be magic. Don't know how you keep my feet on the ground. You give me the real feel. You give me the real feel. You give me the real feels. Yeah. You give me the real feels. All I want is you. I want you to know you make my dreams come true. Oh, stuck on you like blue. Oh, honey, you know you turn my gray skies blue. You give me the real feels. You give me the real feels. Yeah, yeah. You give me the real feels. You give me the real feels. Yeah. Yeah, oh, oh. You give me the real feels.
Woo, the real feel.
You feeling it?
Oh my goodness, we're almost out of time. How many minutes do we have? 2 minutes.
Aw.
Goodness gracious, thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
come.
Absolutely. What a fun time.
Okay, so what did we learn today? We learned that breastfeeding is okay.
Yes. Woo! Go mamas.
We learned to rock out.
Yes.
Yay! And that we can heal the land. This is what we learned today. Not so bad. I'm Laura Shepard. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/The Laura Shepard Show and become a patron. You could also go to your Facebook page and like The Laura Shepard Show and write a little review. Where are you playing next? Anybody you want to talk about?
Let's see.
We can
I
go
can't
here,
remember, but yes. Element Official Music. Eliana Blanchard, aka Element, is the name of the page on Facebook, and that is the tag for Instagram and also as well Facebook. So
Yay!
you can find all the info for the next show.
And we can find Koreen at growpermaculture.com. If you have some interest in the subject and want some advice, or we have somebody who will really make it happen. Yay! Bye! Woo-hoo! Yay! Okay.
Awesome.
Nice work.
Thank
Good job,
you.
ladies.